When you immediately look at me, you think I'm someone who's presenting as a woman. Most people look at me and think, oh, okay, that's a cisgender Black woman. No, I actually identify as a genderqueer trans person. It makes it very hard when you're trying to integrate with society and you're making friends with people who are, heterosexual, and they kind of accessorize you. They think that you're a character or you're supposed to be what they see you as on TV, and I'm just me.
Sexuality wasn't often dealt with overtly in the 19th century in magazines and newspapers and the print culture of the day. It was only when boundaries of normalcy were crossed. It really wasn't until the 90s that you started to see these kind of portrayals of the lesbian, gay, and transgender community in the popular media. Definitely for a long time, the only LGBT people that we saw in the media were like white gay men, like Will and Grace, shows like that. Definitely very kind of stereotypical, like effeminate gay men.
Because that's the image that is sellable to people, because it's something that they see as normalized as opposed to like a trans person of color. Just placing, the sellable image of Neil Patrick Harris and his husband, which is like almost commoditized at this point. It's a very heteronormative view of what the LGBT community is.
Certainly, if everyone sort of assumes that the right way is to be heterosexual or be straight, that can be really damaging to students and to young people when they're growing up, because it makes them feel like like something is wrong with them, or that they don't belong, or that they're less than.
It's hurtful to not be able to be dynamic and also to have to face and combat, microaggressions from being a person of color, as well as in the queer community. It's a very tough position.
I think that LGBT people on UT's campus are still sort of stereotyped, and that comes through in various different ways. So it could be you're walking down a pedestrian walkway and someone calls you a slur.
I've been called Legasian, I've been called subservient, I've been called too feminine.
Confused, hypersexual, or promiscuous.
Cis-passing.
I have been called a faggot on this campus. I've heard other people use the same word, not directly referring to me, but in passing as I'm walking around.
You'd be my gay best friend. Things like, oh, you have great taste in like fashion, or like go shopping with me, or things like that. So I think it's kind of more like basic, rudimentary things. It's not necessarily like cruel, but it's just a little bit backwards.
In my opinion, I always say it makes us fight more to show that we're not these things that people think we are, to fight that norm of heteronormativity. And so we fight to show who we are in person, in our actions, and our language, and I really see us like getting to a good spot because we challenge these norms every day just by being who we are and by challenging thoughts and patterns.
I think that the LGBT community on campus has made huge strides in recent years, in part because of kind of the strong coalition on campus and this notion that they are kind of fighting for equity in many perspectives, in many ways.
I often feel that the conversations I want to have there are, criticizing heteronormativity or criticizing the binary, I can only have them in certain spaces on campus. Like here at the Pride Center, this is a brave and safe space. I could talk about it here. But in my classes, I find that it's so caked on in everyone's ideals that when I'm in class, I feel that I'm having to break down notes for myself to go, okay, they're thinking about this in the binary, they're thinking about this from a heteronormative, point of view. It's left up to me to remind my professors, like, hey, what about the trans community there? How do they fit into these issues? Because I want to know, I want to see myself in the things that I study, basically.
Outside of the Pride Center, in classes, oftentimes every example given is heterosexual or cis. Though I have had good experiences in some classes where if, say I'm working on a German assignment and I put 2 masculine pronouns suggesting that they're married people, the professor would write back, awesome, but that's only happened once.
There's been stuff happening all across Tennessee right now when it comes to diversity, especially at UT. People are using their voices in the appropriate manners. You'll see things here like UT Diversity Matters, these student groups that come together as a coalition to really challenge what people are thinking and to voice their opinions in the most appropriate manner they think. And they're asking for what they want. And they're saying clearly, we're students here too. We pay to be here, so welcome us. And if not, we're going to challenge you to do stuff to help us out later in the future.
If history reigns true, and it often does, these kind of struggles for equity are often met with backlash. And so I just kind of wish and hope for a day in which we won't have to struggle so much or so hard for equity in our society.
My hope would just be that UT can, continue to support diversity and diversity efforts, and making sure that queer students and every other minority student feels more welcome and safe on campus.